Hello and welcome to this week's video. We're going to be talking about the gospel according to Love Island. Now it's a pretty big thing at the moment, isn't it? Love Island, it's back on the screens and people are interested in it. There's a lot of stuff on media about it. What are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, so Love Island, as the name suggests, is people go into this villa and they try and find love. When it first started off, it was quite small. It was like a new modern dating show, but now it's just exploded and it's just crazy. Yeah, and it's really interesting to watch all the contestants kind of battling it out, and they're trying to navigate love, which is quite tricky anyway, but they're trying to do it with the whole world watching them, and they're vulnerable, and it's just crazy, really.
Yeah, that's wild. And as well, I think, people do go in it, or most of the time, looking for love, and they're looking for that person. But like the worst case scenario coming out of Love Island is that you kind of get like a brand deal, or you've got some fame because you've just been on the TV. But in reality, probably when they're in there, they have no idea how the rest of the world is taking them. They might come out and find that they're actually a meme, or that they've been made fun of for like 6 weeks, or that everybody absolutely loves them and they were the best one in there. But either way, I think still when they come out, there's probably going to be a whole load of maybe positive, like you're my hero, you're inspiring, I love you comments, and there's probably going to be there's got to be people that aren't going to think that you're very good. They're going to be negative about you. They're going to post stuff, and on social media especially, it's so easy just to say stuff about people without even thinking that they're going to read it. So they come out of the villa and all of a sudden they've got this onslaught of messages, good and bad, that they just have to deal with, and it's where is your identity when you're having all of these people say stuff about you? And then on top of that, it's what happens next. So if you do Love Island and then you don't really go to any events, or you don't really do much, you kind of fizzle out and fade into the background. So you've had this 15 minutes of fame, and then you just fizzled into a nobody again, and what does that do to your identity then? Or sometimes you see them go on reality TV shows, kind of trying to fan the flame and keep it going and be interesting still, and that kind of stuff. I mean, and that a lot of the time people kind of make fun of them of they have no talent, so they just have to go on reality TV shows. Or the ones that manage to somehow break into an industry, maybe the fashion industry or presenting or something like that, often then people think, well, you didn't earn it. There's other people who've studied, they've gone to university, they've worked their whole lives to have what you have, and just because you went on a TV show, you've got this opportunity, and they're gonna hate on you because just because they think that you got there out of just being on Love Island. So I think that they might have the money, they might have the fame, but it feels like a minefield to navigate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you do sort of ask the question, why did they do it? It's not worth it. And to be scrutinised by everyone, and you go in as a nobody, and then suddenly when you come out, your social media's blown up, everyone knows your name. You just don't know. You didn't see the gradual growth. You can't get used to it, really. It is crazy. You do ask the question, why do people do it? And for whatever reason, the main reason of the show is to find love, and they're all searching for this relationship. It's all deeply rooted in us, to try and find someone to share our lives with, to accept us despite all of our flaws and all of our dark and twisty bits. And it's just so difficult. And to be fair, some good has actually come out of it in relationships. When you think back a few years ago, Nathan and Cara, they were the first ones, I think, to have children. Yes, they've got 2 children, and Camilla and Jamie, they've just had another girls. They've got 2 little girls that are really cute, and Alex and Olivia, they've just given birth to a son, and it's so good. And you see other couples as well still going strong, like Molly May and Tommy, and good can come out of it. But then you also sometimes it doesn't go well in the show, and people they used to call it like putting eggs in loser baskets, and they don't want to commit fully to someone. And when Catherine Moore comes along, they just all have a wandering eye, and they just all, even the most loyal ones are like, should I, shouldn't I? And it is just crazy, and like the bombshells come in, and then suddenly they're like, throw away like who they were, like, oh no, well, I was never really happy with them, they didn't do this to me, they didn't make me a morning coffee, I'm gonna go elsewhere. And there's no commitment, really.
Yeah.
And like you can see it sometimes, like couples that don't work out in the villa, like Amy and Curtis, and Libby and Jake, the two girls, they just went through this huge heartbreak because it's so intense in there. It would be so intense. You think that's only a couple of weeks, but you're living with them 24/7.
Yeah, definitely.
And like the girls they just went through these like heartbreaks on national TV, and like everyone saw them crying and at their lowest, and it's like it's crazy in there. Someone someone compared like Love Island to like Hunger Games, where everyone's just like battling in to like try and stay afloat in there. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess then from a Christian perspective, then we have an idea of love that we get from the Bible rather than just like an idealistic view that maybe we've got from a movie or what is the feeling of love that we're supposed to have. And maybe, as a Christian, you don't rely so much on your feelings as the commitment. You have committed to someone in a relationship, and like the decency of like having a conversation with them before kind of moving on to someone else, or just handling it in a different way because of how we view love. Yeah,
and I think in the Bible it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 13 it says, love is patient, love is kind, and it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonour others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, and it keeps no records of wrong. And then it says it always protects, and it always trusts, always hopes, and always preserves, and it says love never fails, which that's such an encouragement. And the Bible then later goes on to say that this is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us, and that is what love is. And this is like the deep-rooted need that's inside of us, is to have a relationship with Jesus, because God loved you so much that he humbled himself and he became a human, and he walked on this earth, and he suffered, and then he also died for our sins. He died for me, and he died for Amy, and he died for you. Also, we could be in a relationship with him. And maybe the love today, whether it's on Love Island, it doesn't have the same sacrifice or the same, it's not unconditional. Maybe it's sometimes conditional if the circumstances are right and if it suits you. But it's quite encouraging to be able to look at the Bible and see that this is what love is, and it will never leave you, and it will never fail, and you've got that strong love. Yeah, that's so good. So like what I was saying before about the fame and the money, and how you kind of have to keep going with it to make yourself continue to be relevant, to continue to be important and in the public eye. But unfortunately those things, we see time and time again that those things are just ultimately not fulfilling. That those things like are a disappointment. I think, with money, how much is ever going to be enough? You're going to reach a certain point and you're going to think, oh, that was my peak, but I've just seen a new peak and I want to go for that now. And it's just like that like not being content, just not being happy or being okay with where you are. It actually says in the Bible about, being content in everything. So if you're single or if you're in a relationship, if you've got, if you're paycheck by paycheck, or if you've got loads of money, you're going to have seasons of different times. But actually what's the most important thing is being okay with where you are and who you are in Jesus, because ultimately that's what he offers, is that like you might not have anything that the world considers success. I remember one time when I was unemployed, I was in my 20s, I was unemployed, I was single, I was living in my parents' house, and like all I did all day was like, I was a dog walker. That's all I had to do, that's all I had to wake up for. But I remember having this feeling of being like, but it's okay, like Jesus still loves me
the same as he did when I was employed, same as he does when I'm married. All of this different stuff, like he is ultimately the person that gives me my identity. I find it in the fact that he died for me, that he rose again, he gives me this life, and that the creator of the universe wants me. So what can the world offer me that's better than that? Yeah. And it's ultimately nothing. So these people, we appreciate the thing that they're going after. You know, people do want love, they do want the fame, they do want the money, and yes, maybe on the outside it does look good, but you and I know that there is a better way to live. There is a more fulfilling life and more purposeful life that we can live when we are in relationship with Jesus. Yeah, it's good.
It's just, I think it just can simply be that there's something more. Yeah, there is just something more that we can hold on to. Yeah, that is a constant thing. Yeah. It is a rock, and it's great.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. We'll catch you guys again soon.